But anyway, when we do this, getting back to what I was saying before, when we put our names on certain things, be it our conversation as we go, or telephone numbers that we hand out to hot chicks or hot guys if you're a chick, or whatever. Is the album over? What's great though, you're gonna have to excuse me. Bam. It's a 2-disc dealie, which means you get to enjoy the other half of the same album. Ah, a love song from the father to the child. It's a beautiful thing. Stevie Wonder, by the way, gets it. I know I've said so before, but man, you should buy this album without me blathering behind it, or in front of it, or over it, or whatever. And really check it out, because lyrically speaking, you can't deny it. The dude gets it. And he's one of those guys who comes off as ridiculously optimistic, almost insultingly optimistic. We're like, what? How can you live on the same planet as the rest of us, you know, and be that happy? Are we missing something? And that's kind of where it gets insulting. You're like, you're insinuating that we're off. You know, you're so down with things that you make it sound like we're scratching something wrong. And, you know, I think that kind of is the case. If I was saying it before about the comedian, you know, if you don't enjoy this, you aren't really looking at things properly, in my opinion. It's a privilege to be here, and I just hope we all, myself included, all really respect that before we hit our deathbed and we're inches away from our demise, or our end, simply our end. And like I said, that could be a euphemism for simply our goal. You know, whatever your beliefs are about the afterlife, the non-afterlife, or whatever, that is your end. And I hope, you know, when we hit that point, we're good to go, and we will have gotten it, whatever that is. So anyway, the people out there who naysay, you know, the people out there who are like, this sucks on whatever I'm producing here. I could take it to heart and be like, man, that's rough. And I might. You know, maybe someone out there will actually look at this and say straight up, here's what I don't like about it. And they'll present it in such an articulate way, in such a sensical manner, that I look at it and I'm like, dang, dude, I feel kind of badly about that. I shouldn't have done that. Or I should have done that better, or something. But regardless of the positive or negative or neutrals that you throw out there in the comment section of any site, or the headers of any paper, or the music that you create, or whatever, you're putting yourself out there in much the same way I am here. I'm just kind of grabbing the bull by the horns. You know, I'm explaining myself and providing you with context, which is what all this is. Yes, I skipped here, there, to and fro, just as I go. And for some people, that's not only super irritating, particularly the beginning of my relationship with my wife, absolutely irritating. She really didn't dig it. Now she's kind of realized, she stepped back and realized that's just kind of how I flow sometimes. Not all the time, like I said, this is free time. I'm allowed to do this. You know, and you guys aren't here to be like, excuse me, you know, this is being, you know, the question is it via or via? I don't know. But it might as well be via satellite. You know what I'm saying? You guys are there, but you're not there. So you can't be like, yo, go back. Which my wife actually did on our second date. She was like, no, finish that story before you go forward. First time anyone really ever did that, because all through college, I was a just yakety guy. And people are mildly entertained. I hope you're mildly entertained. And so they never really put their foot down and said, yo, you were talking about this before. Finish it now. Because, man, I don't have all day. And she did that. And I was surprised. I was like, what? That's awesome. One of the first kind of prick up your ears moments. Anyway, you know, I see this all the time, where you have like these crazy names on the internet, like Bojimbo1196, you know, and he leaves a comment, and it's a comment about, you know, I look at as I edit this stuff, I look at YouTube as kind of my radio, because it's local, it's on the same laptop. And so, you know, I'll flip through my tunes that I've, you know, and the question is, who do I feel like listening to, and see what YouTube's got. And it's got quite a variety. It's kind of wild. You'll read some of these comments, and some of them are really like, oh, I love this song. Oh, I love the 80s, or, you know, Paula Abdul's awesome, or, you know, whatever. And yes, I'll throw in some Paula Abdul. You ever get into the mood to listen to music from like 85 to 90, maybe 91? That's an interesting era. I would say the late 80s to the very early 90s, before Nirvana came into the picture. The Paula Abdul, Debbie Gibson, New Kids on the Block, kind of Bobby Brown. I think New Edition was actually kicking it back then. Whitney Houston. I mean, people that are still around and staples of that genre. Nonetheless, excuse me, that's an era that I think is largely forgotten. One of my very favorite groups out of that time period was is Arrested Development. These guys only came out with 2 albums. And no, the show is not commemorative. The band kind of got lost. And it's unfortunate because, man, that was a solid group. Both albums are awesome. Zingalamaduni was the one that, you know, the first one got Grammys galore. Zingalamaduni was their second album, and superior. I bought it in Ireland with 2 other albums. I remember very well. We were in this town called... Wow, sorry about that. To that town of Ireland. It wasn't Tipperary, it wasn't Caher Daniel, it wasn't Cork. Much smaller. It's where we landed. Oof. Anyway, it had this main street, and it was awesome. It was this little tiny street, and it had a shoe store. It had a CD, and I remember it had this music shop with a CD rack. It was a spinning CD rack, and the deal was 3 for £20. And I was like, 3 for £20? That's awesome. Next door, I got my DMs, the first pair of Doc Martens I ever got, and I was told that the leather, of course, they're uncomfortable at first, but once you wear them, the leather fits to your foot, and it's just a jam in time. But not only did I get a pair that was too small in the first place, you know, it was tough leather, and I never really grew into them, so I never got to wear much of my DMs. But the 3 albums that I did pick up on the rack at the next door would be Zeppelin 3, I believe, Zeppelin 3, and The Doors, simply The Doors, and Zingalamaduni. And I was very happy about those particular purchases.